Hello, hello, welcome to Leap Taken. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'm Mika, this is Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. So let me go ahead and I got a different location. There we go, I think I'm all set. I think I am. Let's see if I can do something about this weird haze. I don't think I can. I think I'll leave this alone. Okay. All right. So there we go. So anyway, a new space requires new, I don't know, concentration. So welcome, 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 welcome. So I'm going to be doing a book review. I have my wonderful device here. Let me go ahead and pull it up. So Witch of Key, Lime Lane by Gabrielle Keyes. Ooh, if I can, did I just seriously do that? Hold on. I thought I selected it. There we go. This one. Yeah, so Witch of Key Lime Lane by Gabrielle Keyes. So it's an entire series. So I'm kind of going to dip in and out a little bit of each one, at least the first few books. There's 4 books in total. I'm reading the 4th right now. I read a lot of fiction books, and I thought it would be nice to be able to talk about the books that I read. And also, sometimes people are looking for fun, witchy books that they can read. I think sometimes people want, and something that's not like, like paranormal for young adults. I mean, I know some people are okay with young adult fiction. I am trying to monitor to see if I see anything here. I don't. Okay. No. All right, so I didn't see anything. Anyway, I know some people like YA or young adult, and I'm okay with young adult fiction myself. I'm okay with it, but honestly, I am in love with the new genre, newish genre that's out right now, which is the paranormal women's fiction. So typically, like this book, the heroine, the main character, is going to be over 40 and up. There is a pattern. She tends to be divorced or getting a divorce. Usually her husband did something horrible, or he just might have died. Sometimes they're widowed. But there is a general theme with these books. Not just this series, but in general with that whole genre, paranormal women's fiction genre. But what I will say is this, with this one, each book does feature a new heroine, a new main character. She is a female, and she is, coming out of the not best situation. Her life is kind of like, life did not, add up the way she thought it was. She thought it was going to be something else, and it's not. And honestly, when you get to be someone in their 40s, when you get into that point in your life where it does kind of feel like everything, let me tell you, it feels like, wow, what have I wasted my time on? Like the realization that you might have wasted your time is bigger than regret. Just understand that. Sometimes it's bigger than regret. And then you realize nothing went out. Like you thought you had a solid plan. You thought you were with the person you were going to be with. You thought, you would have things set up a certain way, your safety net, financial, all that sort of stuff. And, obviously at any age is worse. It's never good, but imagine, like you're well in your 40s and, you don't have a lot of time to make this up. So that's the kind of energy you're coming into with these books. However, it is not depressing at all. They don't trivialize the journey that the character is on. And then this is the first in the series. Her name is Lily. And she eventually, and this is not giving up too much away, but hopefully you'll find interest in this book. So Lily found out in a horrible manner. She had adult children. Her daughter was went out to dinner. She was away at college. Went out to dinner with her friends, and at a PF Chang's ran into her father with his other family. These young children who look very much like her father. And this one, he was out with his second family, but he's married to her mother. And she really didn't do well with that, obviously, but that was the end. That was the end of the marriage because he had a whole other family. So, because they were, okay, so the characters are the husband, he's a TV host for like a cooking show thing, and the wife is the chef. And they have a thriving restaurant business, and she's if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry, especially if you're this chef, you realize it's a demanding job. You're always at work. So she was always there. The husband did the traveling, the interviews. Like I said, he was on television shows, so he had a lot of time. And he he had a lot of time, and he found another woman and created a new family. But yeah, so that's how it starts off in the beginning. Bam. And she's going through it. She's, as you would imagine, the realization, and she goes viral because of something that she does as well in reaction to that. And I love, this is like chapter 1, how it opens. I know what you're thinking. You see that internet photo with the woman in her mid-40s wearing an eerily zen smile and sweats, messy top bun, holding a glass of wine, grinning from ear to ear, while setting fire to her ex-belongings on the sidewalk. And you think Lily Blanchett has lost her bananas, that's her name. And you would be right. And then we begin the journey of the book. Hey Dylan, I've been watching for a few minutes, I just couldn't comment. Oh, okay, I don't know what's going on. It was weird on my end too, so I was thinking, are the comments even working? But hello, nice to see you. And she just goes on, and the book was off and running. Like that's how the book opens. And as she goes on, there's a host of things that happen, but one of the reasons this is one of my favorite series, my favorite fiction series, is because from the beginning, the first book, at least in the first book, the witchy element is that she's not necessarily witchy. She has this dream of opening like a Halloween themed restaurant. She does explain that. But the thing that I love about this book, this glare is really getting on my nerves. Hold on. Maybe if I move my chair over a little more, I don't know. It's like right here on my face. I should have thought about that before I came over here, but here we are. Anyway, so she decides to, so she has an opportunity, as in fiction, you have an aunt who you barely know, who has a property, who you've only visited the property when you were a child. And yeah, she is asked, she needs somebody to help with the property because she is in a home. Is this the one book that is divorced? Yeah, she's getting a divorce. So you're starting off with things are fresh. She's just found out. She like everything's changed. So she's the executive chef at this restaurant. It's her restaurant, but she takes this opportunity given to her by a relative who's in a nursing home. Her mother says, hey, she needs somebody to go down there and check the house out, so we can maybe sell it. So she was supposed to be down for a little bit, so she gave up her restaurant in the divorce. That was going to be part of it. She just broke ties with the restaurant. She started a new life. She took her bit of savings that she had, which she said was about 3 months of income. She actually says it in the book. And then left and just, got on a plane from Miami, drove down to the Florida Keys. That's where the book takes place, near the Florida Keys. So she gets there, she gets into this house. It is dilapidated, it's a lot of work. And the house is haunted. She would learn that as soon as she got, you don't wait to find that out. It's haunted immediately. Oh good, nice to hear more about this character. Yeah, it's haunted. And there's ghosts and everything, and she doesn't know it's a ghost immediately. It's like a cat ghost situation, and she has a cat, so this is pretty good. But yeah, we move on. She is, you know, settling, going as long as she thinks she's going to settle in. And the book takes a turn because you don't see it coming, where there was a coven once, and her aunt was in the coven. But once she comes, things kind of get even more invigorated, and it's it feels more real, I guess, because I am a woman in her 40s. So, and also the way Gabrielle Keyes writes it, they get together for full moon rituals, and I think new moon as well, which is interesting because I do that with the coven. But anyway, they get together, and she goes to her first one. They invite her, and they taught her a releasing spell, basically, during the full moon. And I do that. And she does it, and she sees the effects of it. And it's very much like how it is in real life with magic, the way it plays out in the book. I don't want to give too much away because I'd like people to read it, because it's a really good book. I love the pacing of it as well. Like, I never feel like we get to a lull. There's always something going on. And then the thing that I love that this author does in this series, especially with the first book, is we're going into, it's all about her life and her transformation. And then there is some romance element to it. We never get too caught up in that. That's like extra. It's an extra piece of it, but it fits. And I love that. I love that they take that approach to this. So this book it's a series. So that's the first book. So, you know, she goes through a lot of transformation. Lily, the main character of the first book, would you try that releasing spell from the book? You know what? I would try something. Essentially, they're in the Florida Keys, so they're on the beach, and it was more of a writing. And I think I can't remember for sure if she burnt it, because that's how I do my releasing work. I write down what I'm releasing, I speak it out loud, and then I burn it to release it. You know, pretty simple. I didn't invent this. A lot of people do this, but I think she did something to the same effect. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember if she burned it or if it like went into the ocean or something. But if you were near the ocean, I could see writing the petition, you know, or not petition, writing it down on like parchment paper, like a natural file, or just paper, but nothing too big, because you're gonna put it in the ocean. And could you imagine, or if you're near a large body of water and you release, but I say the ocean because you can just release it to the ocean, goddess, to the many souls that, you know, died at sea and things like that, and release that burden of all that, you know, you want to get rid of. In her case, it was like she had been with this man for like 20 years, so she had to release the kind of the hold he had on her. He was a narcissistic person, so he had her believing certain things about herself. She needed to let that go to move forward in the next phase of her life. The book is only like 200 plus pages. It's not super long, but there's a bigger message, and it's modern, and it's fresh, and it's for women who are, you know, based on the character was over 40, but I think a lot of people can understand it. You know, they touch on, like, you know, your aging body, because there's a romance element, so she starts to think, can I be with, you know, this man is gonna possibly see, you know what I mean, without my clothes on. I, you know, haven't had someone new see me in a very long time, and she deals with that. So yeah, I mean, very relatable for anybody about to potentially get naked in front of someone. You might have some, you know, pause. So the first in the series, which started my love, is Key Lime Lane. If I was at the beach, I would release it to Poseidon. Oh, exactly. The ocean is masculine to me. Oh, very interesting. Well, there's a masculine element to the ocean, I agree. But I when I think of water and flow, right, it's feminine. I think of the goddess. But you know what? Duality. The book 2 in the series is Crone of Coconut Court. This one, okay, so the first one, I think I love the character more. Lily, she was a woman kind of on top of her game. She gave me very Aries energy, because she was in charge. So I found her character more relatable. A lot of her personality was very relatable to me. Um, but in the next book, I love the book. Like, I still love it. But the character, it was a little foreign from myself. And I'll read just like the blurb. It says here, for 22 years, her name is Katja, Katja. Katja? I don't know how you say this. Katja. I've been saying Katja. Katja Miller was a good wife to her husband, an excellent mother to two daughters, now in college, and a volunteer at her church's community bookshop. Yes, these books are witchy. But even in a small town, life throws you curveballs. I do see, feel water as feminine, but I see the ocean. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, develop, right? Yeah. But even in a small town, life throws you curveballs. So when her ex takes off with another woman, I told you that is the basis of women's paranormal fiction, leaving nothing but $68 in their bank account. Katja must figure out what's next. So after watching a show called Witch of Key Lime Lane, spoiler, she creates a show, book 1. So these books are connected. So I would tell you, you would need to read book 1 in order to read book 2, 3, and now 4, because the characters, it builds upon itself, which she does. The author, Gabrielle Keyes, does a great job of doing that to me. As someone who's in the world of writing and learning, so the way she just seamlessly connects these books, but they're there's a story there. But Lily is still like that she's the prevailing character. Well, actually they all are, but definitely it has to be her. Only $68, not $69, $68 exactly, in their account. So that's all she has. So she's watching a show, takes her biggest risk yet, applies for a temporary assistant job to the show's gothic hostess, Lily Autumn. She drops her Blanchett last name, that was the husband, that goes back to her name Autumn. Never thinking she'd actually get hired, Katja finally leaves from the Midwest for a sleepy little island called Skeleton Key. So this is somewhere in the Key West area. So she goes into an old house. So there is so much that happens to Lily's character in book 1 to make it possible for the character in book 2 to come there and have her own experience in one of the houses on that street. So anyway, so there's the whole thing that comes with that. So book 2 goes off, and this woman, who is also, in her 40s, she's 44 years old, has her own self-discovery. This one, they touched on a lot of different things, sexuality, like her sexuality as far as her learning to express it. And eventually, she's then put into the coven as well, and she's doing her own ritual, part of their ritual. By the way, the way they do their rituals is fabulous. I would love to write and illustrate magical and witchy comic books and graphic novels. So that sounds good. You know what? Let me know. Put something in the comments. If you have something already in mind, I'd like to see it and read it. I'm not really a comic book person, but if there's a witchy element, I probably would be more into it. So, but not like superhero witchy. I don't know. If you have some suggestions, you've seen me and watched me enough. If you think I might like it, let me know. I'll probably check it out. Dylan, let me know. But yeah, so this character for me, I was trying to really understand her a little bit more. One, she's a Midwestern empty nester. I mean, I get that part, the empty nester part, well, sort of. But I don't know, like some of the things that she's kind of stuck on, I don't have those issues. But I think a lot of that comes from, being in the Midwest and all that sort of stuff, from my experience and the people I've come across. But anywho, that's book 2. And then we're off on her once she lands there, and she has to deal with that. Oh, okay. Well, let me know if you have something that's already in print, like that's inspiring to you. Put it, if you could put a link or something or a name in the comments, I'd appreciate it. Or later, you can come back under the comments and do it if you don't have anything right now. The next in the series, book 3, is called Magic of Mango Road. This one, I like this character. Although not like myself, but there was something about her that I did like. I recognized certain things that it reminded me of people I know. So this one is Regina Sarah. So she lost her son and her husband and her sense of purpose. So she's the widow, and she's coming there as well under a different reason. um, so she's there, and her dead husband was kind of a very frugal man, and he was the kind of person who felt like you shouldn't strive for more, religious, just be grateful for what you have types. And that's been drilled in her, and she's like clean. Her job um, is to clean houses, there. So that's the whole thing. They get the house ready because they're doing like another Airbnb, bed and breakfast or something like that. So anyway, so she has her paranormal experiences just like all the other ones. She eventually gets into the coven as well. So you see how these people are building. And I wonder if she's going for 13 books. So there's like 13 members of the coven. Anyway, so then this happens. So, so she moves on. So this one, I like this story as well a lot. She had a lot of fear. Oh, okay, that's cool. I see what you're saying. You're just expressing. Okay. Listen, you piqued my interest with that. So if you would have someone who was very interested when you're ready to put something out there. So yeah, so this one's about starting over. They all are about starting over in midlife, harnessing the magic within, and love and friendships after loss. So that's book 3 in the Dead and Breakfast series. So then we move over to the one that I'm reading right now. I'm still reading it, Pineapple Place. Hex of Pineapple Place. This is the 4th in the series, and I'm sure there'll be more after this. But since being crowned Miss Georgia in her mid-20s, Nikki Lewison has gone nowhere but down. After finding the courage to move on after her politician husband, who only wanted a trophy wife, filed for divorce, Nikki has been alone for the last 15 years. Now that her mother has called her a lonely old spinster, she's not sure she will ever live again. And then when Dead and Breakfast owner Lily Autumn, again, she's there, hires Nikki for some social media marketing, told you it's modern, she surprises her with a room and board offer in the Florida Keys. And since Nikki can barely afford her Atlanta townhome anymore, she accepts, ready for the new adventure. So she moves into a house as well. Grant Morrison is the biggest name in comics. I haven't read any of his stuff yet. Oh, okay. Well, good to know. So she moves into this Edwardian home with this turn-of-the-century interiors, bordello-like rooms, and disembodied moans. Moans. That's key in this book because I've gotten into it in the middle of the night. It creeps out Nikki, and she's not sure if she wants to stay, but the Islanders are friendly. And this one, she has a dog with her, so the dog likes it there too. I'm going to tell you right now, in book 4, if you've never read the series, it's very interesting approach that the author takes in book 4. So each one, there's a romance element, but it is not the main point. It is not a paranormal romance. That's not what this is. But there is an element of romance. The best thing that could have happened in book 4 is she doesn't realize she's not attracted to men. She's not heterosexual, which is why her marriage didn't work. I'm still reading the book, but I was able to surmise that much. And she just thinks she really enjoys, like, wow, her heart kind of skips a little bit when she's around this one woman that she works with. And, she knows the woman is clearly, she's out and proud and everything, but, she didn't think she was. She's just, shocked how much she has so much in common with this person, and how comfortable she is, and she could be a very good friend, because that's all she's thinking, because she never really thought of herself anything but heterosexual. So I'm reading it, and I'm not done, so I haven't gotten, nothing has happened yet, but this is sort of the build-up, along with her hearing these moans. So the different paranormal experiences kind of coincide with some of the fear that each character is coming with. So in the last book, She's sexually repressed because she's been with people she's technically not really sexually attracted to. She married a man not really ever really attracted to him, and she thought it would eventually come to her to be attracted to him once she got married, and it just never did. And this is all just in the beginning, so I'm not giving too much away if you just start reading just a few pages in the sample. I'm just, I appreciate this author taking the bold approach in a series, a paranormal women's fiction series that is, being sold to the masses, that she was willing to have a gay character. And I don't know, that made me happy. I like when people really try to reflect modern times. That's why I like these series, because this is just an example, but like in book one, when they taught the women who were already witches that are there, and they explained to her how to do this releasing spell, and she did it, and the way it worked was very similar to how things work in real life. I knew I was in love with this series. And now I want to say book 2 and book 3 was transitional for both characters. And there were some real things, but I felt like those were a little bit more in line where it felt fiction for the most part. It felt kind of fiction. So, there's realism to it that I adore and that I love, and there's that modern spin, but I don't know, like I said, I just attached myself to the very first character so much, and I'm glad because she's, around in all the books. But I loved her so much, and I loved her realism in her way, because like I said, it reminded me of like big Aries energy. So book 4, now we're back, and I feel like, oh, that magic I got from book 1, I'm getting that in book 4 as I'm reading it, and I realize, oh my God, she doesn't realize she's gay. Like, when is she going to realize that she's gay? She keeps thinking she's more asexual. She's kind of come to the term, like, that's what she thinks. So, maybe I'm just asexual. Maybe that's just not me. That's not a life for me. So that's kind of where she's at, kind of coming into the book. And, because, it didn't work. She did what she was supposed to do, or so she thought, she became outwardly confident. She became this man's wife. He would take her to dinner parties, and she was a trophy and show her off, but he became really upset that she wasn't wanting to be physical with him. So was she bi or lesbian? No, I don't think she was ever bi. She's never been I think she's been trying to be heterosexual, and she's just not. That's what I think. But she hasn't come to this realization herself yet. And you would think that's far-fetched, right? But the way okay, I'm still reading, but the way the character, kind of her inner dialogue, she's starting to question, but she grew up in Georgia. And she grew up a certain way of, you behave a certain way, very, Southern Belle and all that sort of stuff. So I don't believe she wanted the approval from outside. And that's something she had been striving for a very long time. So in her younger years, someone like that might struggle with knowing their sexual identity, or what they're attracted to, because they don't let their self explore, because it's just wrong. To think anything beyond having your husband and getting married, and that's it. So that's how she thinks. So she's not going to explore anything else. But I believe I'm getting soon in this book to where she is going to. It's breadcrumbing right now. It's obvious, because I think for the first time she's actually realizing. She hasn't said it yet. She hasn't thought it outright, but she is becoming attracted to this woman. And again, I just love that this author took a different approach with book 4, conditional and societal. Yeah, but that can do something on to your mind. you know, and your choices and how you live your life. Um, and being, again, getting to that point in your life, middle age, where you're like, maybe you start thinking about some things and how things have played out. And you could review a little bit like, I haven't been happy. Why? Why am I never happy? You know, why have I always, you know, seemed disinterested? She enjoyed the idea of her husband, and he was older than her, but she didn't enjoy, you know, the other parts of what marriage is with him. So she didn't, and that was incredibly frustrating for him. So, you know, I don't know, this one, he seems less of a bad guy. I mean, and more of a, you know, maybe frustrated individual himself. He married someone who's this beautiful woman. You know, she was crowned Miss Georgia, and when she was younger, and he was older than her, so he always just thought she was the prize, his trophy. But he couldn't play for this trophy because she wasn't attracted to him, so it didn't work out. After many years, but he stayed with her because he wanted to keep parading her around because it looked good for him to have this very attractive woman. So I guess that's not so great. But so she had so much of that, and then she just hasn't been with anybody or done anything. And now she's got this opportunity, and you know, in the midst of this essence of a romantic situation, budding, you know, same-sex romance part, there's a paranormal part that is also happening where she's hearing moans, like moans of someone, you know, in the act of intimacy moans. Now, for someone who calls themselves, or who believes themselves to be, at this point, just non-sexual, you can see why this might be disturbing to them. Because she's staying in this old home, again, a relative. In her situation, it's a relative. So it was like an aunt or somebody, and her cousin, the aunt's son, couldn't deal with the house, so he said, you need to go down there and stay. He just stay at the house, and she was already running out of money, and because after the divorce she didn't have as much, blah, blah, blah. So it made sense for her to go. So the moans. So it made her want to do some more investigating. So she's studying. I'm at the part now where she's kind of doing some research on who lived in the house, you know, what's going on. And apparently it was a house considered ill repute more than 100 years ago. So, and we're down that rabbit hole, and that's kind of where I left off while I'm still reading it. But yeah, she, again, it's interesting. So we're taking the first book. The main character had a lot of releasing to do, so she found this company, helped her release and find her. She's a very creative person. So book one was this woman's Halloween themed restaurant, like expanding to something bigger enough to make all these other characters come. So book two, we have this Midwestern woman who comes in and, oh geez, goes having an adult fun time. Exactly. It's a fresh take on paranormal. I love it. In book two, we have this other woman coming in where she gets to become her assistant. Yes, she does have a love interest as well, but she's having her own paranormal experience, and she learns to get okay with the woo-woo. A lot more okay with the woo-woo than she ever thought she could, because she saw the benefits of that. So then we have her, and then book three, we have this other person who had been kind of under the thumb of this husband who had a very narrow worldview and with a heavy religious overtones. And by the way, everybody is not white. So the first character, Lily, she is white. The Midwestern, well, she's white when she's white. Book three, I think she's Cuban or part Cuban or something like that. And then, and that's a whole other aspect that they explore. And then book four, with the woman questioning her sexuality, I believe she's mixed with black and white, I think something else, I'm not 100%, I can't remember exactly. But yeah, so there's also a bit of diversity as well. And I appreciate that. It wasn't really something I was looking for, but right? So we across the board, sexuality, ethnicity, it's a little bit something, and I really do appreciate that because honestly, if you live in Florida, it's like that. Contrary to what some crazy people there who follow Trump think. It is not all white. It's not. It's impossible for it to be all white. Do you know what's connect? How many freaking brown people are nearby on those islands that come over to Florida? But anyway, I digress. Um, yeah, so it can't be all white. Okay, cool. I was wondering about the ethnicity. Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't know. I wasn't looking for that. I didn't know. I mean, I got enchanted with book one. I didn't know that's where it was going. So imagine, and then book two, I was like, oh, okay, but I still love this story. And then, and I still love this story. And then book three, I was like, oh, okay, so okay, I'll take that, the Cuban woman. And again, there's more to that story with her parents coming over and her issues with like the water and her coming to terms with water and being out in the water. So that was the whole thing as well. And it's paranormal about that too. There's ghosts abound. And book four, which I'm still getting into. So yeah, but and by the way, they don't like lead with it. You're just kind of reading it, and it was like that was me reading. I'm just looking like, oh, interesting fun fact. I didn't know that the author was going to do that. So that was actually really kind of nice though to get a little bit diversity. I didn't realize it. And when she's writing these characters, it's not like she's telling you the character's Cuban, but there's no, will there be a hot merman? I don't know. It's not like she's just like a whitewashed character. She's not doing that. Like I told you, book three, the woman is Cuban. There's a story behind her Cuban heritage, somewhat. You get into that a little bit. And the idea of her husband, where he was Cuban, why he was so frugal and all that sort of stuff. But, he did too much. And I'm getting into book four, and I can understand her not wanting to come to terms with her sexuality because, unfortunately, still it's prevalent within the Black community, Black American community, where homosexuality is it's a struggle. Not that it's not a struggle for in other communities, but we have a lot of denial, and it's the devil. So that's how a lot of people just think you succumb to the world and Satan if you are not heterosexual. That's a whole thing. But yeah, anyway, so then you can understand why she might not be willing to explore her feelings and her true desires, because she's holding on to all of that sort of stuff too. But the book series, like I said, I think it's fresh. In this particular genre, it has more meat than some of the other books that I've read. One of those homosexuals is me. One of those homosexuals. Yeah, it has more meat. Some of the other ones because I read in this genre, once I kind of got a whiff of it a couple of years ago, I've been all over it. But some of the other books have been okay. They're entertaining. But it was more like kind of like fast food. This one, I felt like a little busy, served it up with some garlic. It was a full meal. Reading each one of these books. The story it holds me. When I'm done reading, I want more. It is satisfying. I kind of reread a little bit of book one to prepare for this, and I realized how much I enjoy her writing style. Gabrielle Keyes, the author, and the way by the way, you can follow her on Instagram as well. And she's also a woman, I believe, in her 40s. So, it takes one to know one. And from my understanding, she's actually married, though. But a lot of us, by this point, if you are still married, a lot of our friends are not. They're getting divorced around this time, So, we kind of get it. A lot of us at this point, I get the mind. Like, I get behind the author where she's coming from with this, because I'm literally seeing it, I'm around it, I'm living parts of it. And these characters are rich. Even the ones I don't necessarily relate to personally and their experiences, the way she describes them, I may not love them like I love the like other characters in the book, but you know, I get them, and I'm rooting for them. Calling on you. Wait, that went away. Where'd it go? Where's the? Why won't it stay? Oh, it went away. I'm thinking of possibly calling on my grandpa that died last year and tell him I'm gay. Oh wow, and see what he says since it's witchy. Okay, you know what? You should. You should. I did when I don't want to say it's my first time, but when I was living in Florida, one of the many times, I'm trying to place when this was. It was several Halloweens ago, Samhains ago. I'll just say this, many. I would say maybe 5, 6 years ago, 5 maybe years ago, or might be almost 6 now. I did a ritual with the whole purpose of wanting to connect with my family, whoever would come through. And when I did, I had my uncle came through. And I wasn't close with my uncle. Honestly, he scared all of us. I'm the oldest of the grandkids. He scared us all. He was mean. And he had some, you know, demons that he was dealing with in life. And it's hard to be, for some people, it's hard to be nice to little kids when you're going through some stuff. So he was going through some stuff a lot, like pretty much most the times that I remembered him. And he wasn't good. He wasn't good. So he did die, and he got sick and he passed. He wasn't very old either. So when I did this, I remember doing this ritual, and I'm using my tarot cards to communicate at the time. Excuse me. And I had a couple different family members come through, and he was one of them. And he apologized to me. He apologized. So it was like, okay, so let me tell you what that experience was. It was like cards and then like this knowing all at the same time, but I need the cards still to kind of make it all go together. That grandpa was homophobic, sexist, misogynist, and racist, so I'm curious. Yeah, that would be interesting. Maybe you'll get an apology. Maybe you'll get I got an apology. Believe me, I'm just saying he scared me as a general, but there was some other stuff. But not necessarily to me, but like how a man who scares little kids should tell you about his personality. As he got older, I don't think he was an evil person, but he had his own thing. He had stuff going on, and he had not reconciled that. But I got an apology, and that was like a family reunion ritual. Did you do that through tarot, meditation, Ouija? I use tarot cards. I use my tarot cards, and it went on. I was doing this for like, I want to say it was 2 hours, like, because there was a lot of waiting in between. It wasn't like, oh, they came through and I'm done. I didn't do a reading and I read it, and it's like, oh, this is my uncle. I know. It was more like, I did do a set of cards at first, and then I remember pulling out some other cards and then waiting, asking a question, waiting until I felt intuitively it was okay to pull down a card and to get the idea of what was being communicated. And then at the same time, it was like I said, it was also like this knowing, like phrases popped in my head or an old memory popped in my head, and then I was like, to clarify, I would pull the card and I would check and see what was, what was actually, that's how they communicated. I'm thinking of using my pendulum with a Ouija style board. That one, they were selling Ouija boards over at Barnes and Noble now. And the board has a board game. So I don't know, I was thinking about maybe doing something for Halloween. By the way, I will be hosting another Samhain Halloween party on the Discord channel, Safe Place for Witches. Please, I'm gonna host it the Saturday before Halloween. And I'll be hosting it at, pretty sure I'm going to do it at 5:30, so wait, 6, 7, 8:30. So it'll be 8:30 Eastern Time and 7:30 Central Time, but 5:30 Arizona time or Pacific time right now. So I'm going to be hosting it then, and I'll be, come in costume. And have your favorite drinks, have your snacks, and come have some just fun. Just talking about random stuff, and maybe a couple games, and get to meet some other people. And it's all virtual, So think of like a Zoom type call. It's not me sitting there talking to everybody. It's more of a virtual room, so other people could come on. I encourage people who don't want to get on camera to come, and it's okay, you know. If you just want to talk, I'm okay with that. Although it makes it more fun if you're willing. If it's Halloween, you can have a mask on if you want. No one will ever know who you are if you want to do it that way. But you know, it's a safe place for witches. I make it so that it's safe that whoever you are, you know, you as long as you're respectful, come on through. So that's something that I'm hosting as well. But yeah, I was thinking about getting that board. I have a spirit board already. I'll have to get it on my laptop. Yeah, Discord. Yeah. Discord, if you don't know what I'm talking about, is an app, or it's also a website if you're on your computer. But if you're on mobile device, it's an app. You can download Discord, and they have several channels. My channel is called Safe Place for Witches. Look for me. look there. But yeah. Anyway, so I thought I dropped a couple fun witchy books. It's fall now. You know, for some people, they're already experiencing chillier weather. It's book season. You know, it's time to get in and read some books. It's always book season to me, but it's a good time to start reading some books. You know, like maybe you needed a new witchy series for Halloween, especially coming into, you know, almost October 31st. So, and there's ghosts, but it's not so out there that you can't get into it. Some of us, even though witches, are very practical minded, and it's hard for us to really go too fantastical in our books. I'm kind of like that myself. So I totally agree. These comments like fly by, I can't see them. I haven't been on Discord in like 4 or 5 years. I had to think very hard and long about what platform to use for that. I wasn't sure what, and it was before I got the leaptaken.com website, so that was what I came up with. Of course, now, you know, I might have done things a little differently, but you know, that's fine. It's fine. Yeah, because I realized not as many people. I was talking to a bunch of people who are gamers. In their world, Discord reigns king. Like, that makes sense. So, and the functionality and things that we're talking about also, and it was free. So, if you want to do Zoom, eventually you're gonna have to pay for it. So, of course, now I do pay for it because that's how I host my meetings and readings and mentor program over at leaptaken.com. By the way, we meet through Zoom. If I had known that, you know, hindsight. But here we are. So this is how you end up with a bunch of stuff on different platforms. So I have the Safe Place for Witches is kind of like, my goal is to make it like a public informal coven-like situation, or fun hangout for witches. And then of course there's here on YouTube, Instagram. I'm not a regular poster. I'm trying to be. That's part of a bigger picture for me to get better at being in those spaces more often. Oh my god, it's tiring doing that sort of stuff. And when I'm reading about this character, but in book 4, she's a social media manager, and it's like, so this is a full-time job. I mean, I know that, but that is a full-time job. No wonder I'm like, it's like you're thinking of your content in one space. You're thinking of your actual products and services in another space. I'm thinking of ways to enhance for free in, you know, the Discord channel. And then I'm still thinking of ways to, and then, oh, I'm sorry, how could I forget? Then there's here, the membership, the Patreon here on YouTube, that I'm always telling you, by the way, go ahead and click that join button. I'm thinking of things to enrich that experience as well. By the way, if you do join, it's one membership now, just that one price, $5.99. So go ahead and maybe take a look at that. I need to get better at Instagram and Amino for my YouTube channel. Yeah, I've scaled back, you know, here on YouTube a lot. I just do the one video a week, and now the one live, because gratefully other things are taking off, so I don't have that kind of time to build out videos like that. But I do actually do a members only video if you are on Patreon here on YouTube, the YouTube membership. Those are just special videos just for members. And if you were interested, so there you go. I do something special there. But yeah, you know, I think one of the reasons I know that I really enjoyed this book series more than the other ones in this genre is because, one, I used to live in Florida, so it was personal that way. I've not been to the Florida Keys yet. Hi, Gemstones. Hi. I was just wrapping up about, when you were talking about the, I think you asked about non-fiction books. I'm reviewing a fiction book now. But one of the reasons I love the character, the first book in the series, is because it was Florida. And, you know, there's something okay, for me, when I first moved to Florida, I did have a very magical experience. There was something that shifted in me. Back in 2005 when I moved, that's when I moved, 2005 to Jacksonville, Florida. And there was a shift in me. There was a shift. There was all these other things happening as well. And that year before is when I, for the very first time, had such an absolute, very definitive witchy thing that had happened to me that got me there. I heard this, I'm sitting there, I told the story, I was just, I was in Florida at the time with my then boyfriend, and we were having breakfast at this nice hotel in Orlando, outside, sitting outside. It was so nice. And we were just eating. It was just, you know, a quiet moment of eating. And I heard this voice in my head say, "You'll move here and he won't be with you," was exact words, and nothing else. And I was just like, I know he didn't hear it. That had never happened. Well, no, that's not true, that did happen. But it was so definitive because I was quiet. There was no, I couldn't, it wasn't like in a distress moment. Like there wasn't something serious happening where it's like you heard the voice telling you not to go in the room or something like that. Like this wasn't a dangerous situation. It was just me being quiet, eating my food with this person. And I got that message. And a year later, that was in February that I was doing that. I moved in February of the next year. Do you think Florida has an influence from New Orleans voodoo since they're close to each other? Thanks, Jimstone. I think I have ties to Florida because my grandmother that's where she grew up until she was like 5, 6 years old. She lived in Florida. And her, you know, my people, they're from Florida. So I think that's what it was. I think that, and being on her, she didn't live too far. She grew up in like Central Florida, but not in Orlando proper, but not too far from there. So yeah, I think it was more of the tie, because I have ties there from my people. That's why. But possibly, although I never felt that was the direction I was going in or being pulled to, voodoo or anything like that. But I do think it was just my people. Now, of course, in hindsight, at the time, I knew that, but I didn't, you know, it's kind of in your back of your head, but I didn't really think too hard about it. But the irony is she's the first person that I told that I was moving to Florida a year before. I told her, yeah, I think I'm supposed, I didn't go that far into it, but I gave her somewhat of it because my grandma is more in the Christian variety, so I wouldn't went so far into it. But I did, she chalked everything up to, well, that was God talking to you. So there you go. But yeah, I didn't mention it to her, and I didn't tell anybody. She was the only person I told for a very long time. And when I immediately got into action. Well, how do I make this happen? I was working for a big company, so I looked to see if I could transfer within a company to Florida, and that's how I did it. Do you think that this season in Arizona is cooler and windier than usual? I think yes. After being here for a couple years now, it wasn't windy like this before at this time of year. Why do I say that? Because it messes up my Halloween decorations outside. My little flying witch lesson sign keeps falling because the wind kicks it up and it falls over. So yeah, I don't like that. And it's the hay bales, the little haystacks that I have. It's blowing the hay off. It was a mess all over. I have to sweep up again today. So yeah, it's windy. I don't like that. Also, the allergy, it's affecting that as well, with allergies and stuff like that. And it is cooler. Like this feels like a crisp. It's not cold or even chilly here, but it's been cooler. I like that though. It's nice. Because I do remember being October and I'm like, okay, is the weather going to break completely? Like, when is it going to get a little chillier? So it felt like it's got, in the mornings especially, it's like really, it's chilly. When I had to go to the airport last Friday and drop my daughter off, it was like 4 something in the morning. We went and I had to wear something like another layer for the first time. And I didn't have my air, I didn't need to turn the air on in the car. This summer wasn't as hot and this fall was cooler. I'm nervous about, you're nervous about that, what that means? Yeah, change in temperatures on that level may not mean a good thing, even though it feels good. It feels like a sense of relief, the chillier weather right now. But who's to say? We don't, you know, well, climate change and scientists are to say that too. But yeah, so yeah, that the connection to Florida was definitely something prevalent when I was going through these books. The book one especially because I had my own sort of magical self-discovery transition moment. I wasn't in my 40s, but I did have my own experience at the time. And yeah, so I can definitely relate to the magic of just the place. I am looking forward to getting to the Florida Keys though. I just haven't gotten there yet. I do look forward to when I can do that, but that's on some list of things to do. I did go to Florida, you know, I went to Jacksonville, but Florida Keys, I don't know, I probably want to go to Orlando first. I want to go to Disney again. Well, you know, I keep saying Disney. I went to Universal Studios. I want to go there, and I do want to go to Disney. I want to go see the castle. Oh yeah, you're enjoying the tip of the window. Yeah, it's nice. I do want to see that, but I like being in the water. I like getting to some water and having my own experiences there. A great time to do a releasing. I had a very fabulous experience when I went early September. My little personal ritual on the beach by myself. So that was, I'm still holding that in my heart and carrying me through until the next time. I'm hoping to go in the first quarter of next year to go back. I want to make a point. Okay, so the thing I would like to do, I realize this, I like staying in Arizona. I love being here. I realize that. The landscape, it kind of does it for me. And I like being on the West Coast as my primary residence. I also would like to be in Florida some parts of the year. Sometimes, like, you know, for stays. Like, I'd like to have a property, if I could, a Disney property. I know everybody doesn't get that, but it's kind of a thing that I would really like to have. Or very close to Disney property. But it's something I would like to have, some experience I would like to have. And here's the thing, I told my kids, I was like, look, and my son was like, why do you want to be near Disney? Like, I said, first of all, you're thinking small, you're not thinking big. I was like, one day I will have grandchildren. Hopefully you will give me some. And they will love to come to grandmom's and, you know, we'll hang out at the park and I stay at grandmom's house for a week or two or whatever. We live our lives in my condo. I said, and when I die, you and your sister will have these properties, so there. And the difference between my kids is my son was like, he didn't say nothing. He was like, oh, okay. If I said it to my daughter, she would be like, why are you talking about you dying? Oh my God. I mean, I know, but like she immediately, my son's like, yeah, that makes sense. But I get them both. I love them because they're both parts of me because I'm like that about some things. If you talk to me, I think I'm a little cold because I'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, at least I'll get the money when you die. Like, I'll think like that. And then oh my daughter, I'm like, oh no, but I don't want you to die. So let's not talk about this. So yeah, kids are fun. They're interesting as adults. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. Our hour is just about here. I aim for about an hour. I struggle with timing, I realize. But anyway, I'm on it today. So I hope everyone has a fabulous rest of your Saturday. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go out and enjoy this wonderful weather. I have been up very early this morning, so I'm gonna have some fun and play today and work on some craft and creative projects. Like I'm in a very light, happy mode, but at the same time, like I feel like I need to gear up for something, and I do believe it's because Samhain's coming, and I consider that the Witch's New Year. So I almost approach it in the same way you approach like around New Year's Day. Have a great day, weekend, Gemstones. Yes, yeah, same to you both. And thank you, by the way, both for coming. But yeah, so I'm gonna go out and enjoy myself. So hopefully y'all will too. All right, bye. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Share if you choose to, and hit join. And consider going to leavetaken.com. All right, bye.